This is my greatest fear, and what drives me is when Allah asks me, Jake, I planned so much for you, why you didn't achieve it? What do I say? Was surprised I got the job as a music director. I didn't even know what the job was. I thought I just had to be a DJ. I'll tell you something. I left Astro at my peak. At my peak. You know why? Because I was very comfortable. I had maybe about 12 promotions because I outworked everybody. I did the jobs that people didn't want to do. Kita orang miskin lah. I have to be very honest with you. You know, like 5 children duduk satu bilik. So I knew what was hardship from the young age, and I told myself, you can either give excuses or you will never see results. Things happen, I pick myself up. You know why? The reality is nobody cares. We are lost. We are trying to be everybody else but us.
You look like we're about the same age.
You.
We have the same hairstyle.
No, you're better looking, yeah.
Terima kasih kerana kembali bersama kami dalam We Hear You, dan dalam episod kali ini kita akan memberi tumpuan kepada azam baru anda untuk tahun baru ni. Kita akan memberi tumpuan kepada kepimpinan dan bagaimana untuk merubah persepsi, minda dan mencapai satu anjakan paradigma untuk tahun baru ini. Jadi siapa agaknya tetamu yang akan kita bawakan? He is the only and the first guest on this show with bigger biceps than me. The one and only Datuk Jake Abdullah. Thank you, sir, for joining us on the show.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum. Thank you for having me, and I hope you don't mind I speak in English, because I can speak Malay. Saya memang boleh cakap Melayu, tapi my brain thinks in English. So
Okay. Tak ada masalah.
Okay.
Tak ada menjadi masalah. Kita beri kebebasan dalam rancangan ini. Untuk soalan pertama saya ingin bertanya kepada Datuk tentang siapakah diri Datuk daripada awal dulu. Bagaimana Datuk berkecimpung dalam bidang media pada awalnya?
Okay, so my background, latar belakang saya, I'm a club DJ. I used to be a club DJ, so spinning in clubs. So I was like 14, 15 years old. 15 years old, I started spinning in clubs. Yeah, because of necessity. Kan? My father was very poor, was a government staff, so I had to earn my living. And I carried on spinning. Then in 1988, I won the first Malaysian DJ contest. I represented Malaysia in Los Angeles. I didn't win, but I represented Malaysia. And then I carried on DJing, and I used to own a club. And I'm sure you all are familiar with Aflin Shauki.
Oh, yeah.
Shauki played in my club. And he says, Abang Jake, Miasat tengah cari DJ. So Miasat was the umbrella company of Astro. So without even thinking about it, I went and applied. I went in a pair of shorts. It was close by here, Menara Bausted. I went in a pair of shorts, and I was surprised I got the job as a music director. I didn't even know what the job was. I thought I just had to be a DJ. So this was in 1996. I started in Astro as a announcer and a music director in 1996. Fast forward to 2012, I became the COO of Astro Radio, and I left in 2012. So that was my first foray into broadcast. Yeah, yeah.
And you've transformed from just a club DJ. We have that in common. I started out in clubs in Penang, and it's not an easy transition to come out of that lifestyle and then go into a sort of 9 to 5 kind of switch. How did you make that transition?
Well, they say necessity is the mother of all invention, right? So at the point that I joined Astro, I was 31 years old. My daughter was just born. So I had to make a decision. Do I want to live in nightlife? And you know, nightlife ni banyak dugaan. Orang cakap banyak iblis lah. You know what I mean? There's a lot of, there's alcohol. I know I have to speak the truth and all that. But at that point in my life, I said I needed to make a change. And I can't use the excuse of mak bapa I tak ada, they didn't have the means to educate me. So although I just studied Form 5, so I decided to, why not try? So I actually had no expectations. When Aflin told me this, I had no expectations. But I knew generally I had a bit of brownie points for being bright. So I went there and I landed the job. And in that period between 1997 to 2012, I had maybe about 12 promotions because I outworked everybody. And that's what we talk about. We talk about outwork. I did the jobs that people didn't want to do, So just to add on, in 2012, I left and I served the Prime Minister at that time, Datuk Sri Najib, as CEO of IM4U. So 2012, I actually resigned Astro to join him because I was sort of coerced into taking the job. So I did travel with him for 1 year. And then 2013, I was asked to come back to Astro, but I could only come back after the election. I came back to Astro as CEO of Astro Radio and CEO of Rocket Fuel Entertainment. That was the first. So, these are the things that if you ask me, did I think about is going to happen in my life? No. But Alhamdulillah, I am a very, how would you say, a person that doesn't give up. So mak bapak I memang, kita orang miskin lah. I have to be very honest with you. Like 5 children duduk satu bilik. So I knew what was hardship from the young age, and I told myself, you can either give excuses or you will never see results. So, and I kept pushing myself. Yeah.
On the educational front, you've also achieved success. You've done it yourself. You've gone and become a self-made man.
Yeah, so education is important, but the education doesn't mean memory-based education, which I would, if I go back and retrospect it, all of us had to study the same way, SPM, this. While I will get into a lot of heat for saying this, it's a simple fact that you judge me on things that I'm not good at. You know what I mean?
Right.
So in school, I was very good in math. I was very good in English and language. Kalau orang cakap bahasa puisi ke pidato, I was really good in this. But the education system already had classified as, awak ni aliran sastra, awak ni aliran sains. Kalau sastra bodoh, kalau sains pandai. So the stigma of this already was there. So we are already inbuilt to think that we are not very bright. However, just because of my ability to network and meet people, I managed to learn. So my education came when I joined Astro, and I'm very grateful to Astro in that sense, that, they paid for my MBA, they paid for many things. I got my PhD later. So I did a lot of things because I wanted to. Bukan saya mencari title, because I rasa kalau my biggest fear, Terence, I will tell you is, as a Muslim, when I die and I go and see Allah, my Maker, on the day of my judgment, and I'm sorry for sounding religious, but this is my greatest fear, and what drives me is when Allah asks me, Jake, I planned so much for you, why you didn't achieve it? What do I say? So people ask me, why do I keep pushing? I'm 60 years old in a couple of months. Why do I keep pushing? I say, because I can. Sebab saya mampu. Kalau tomorrow doesn't come. So I don't think there is a reason for us to sit back. But I'm not saying everybody should be like that. This is just my DNA.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. I was about to reveal that you're 60, but you did it. Sitting here next to me, you look like we're about the same age.
You.
We have the same hairstyle.
No, you're better looking. Yeah.
Thank you. But when we look into the perspective of how we're able to carry on doing certain things, the physical aspect of it definitely comes into play. And you're in amazing shape. Thank you. Tell us about that, your journey.
So it's just a habit. You see, people want motivation. A lot of people talk about motivation. Oh, I need to be motivated. But I don't believe in motivation. I am not motivated. I am perhaps the least motivated person you will find. I am very methodical in my ways. That means I get up in the morning at 5 o'clock every day. I get up in the morning, I sit down, I write down what I have to do. Subuh comes, I have my prayers, and then I start going for a run. And I do it methodically every day. You see, the thing about it is if you go to the gym first day, you're not going to see any change. If you go to the gym 1 month, you probably see a little. But you see, these are the things that we have to understand. It happens because of methodically doing it daily, the discipline of doing it daily. And most people give up. Most people are unwilling to do the grind. So this morning, I spoke. I've got my own podcast. I do a lot of reels and stuff like that. And this morning I spoke about something. I said, the most important thing is to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. When we are uncomfortable, we grow. So whenever I'm comfortable, I'll tell you something. I left Astro at my peak. At my peak. You know why? Because I was very comfortable. It became so comfortable for me. I was like, I don't feel like working.
You're not challenged.
Yeah, it's not challenged. And I left to a sort of a different, completely different sector, which is finance. While it was the most uncomfortable thing that I have done, and I regretted every day of it, but I learned a lot. So what I tell people is, how comfortable are you? If I'm very comfortable, tak apalah. Setakat ni pun alhamdulillah, so you're comfortable. You don't grow in a comfortable. Think about the time that you had an argument with your wife, you are uncomfortable, then you go and buy roses. You know what I mean? It's uncomfortable. You have to put yourself in an uncomfortable phase. And I calculate this. That means I tell myself, what am I going to achieve next year? In fact, I've written it down. What am I going to achieve next year? And I'm trying to put myself in an uncomfortable position. I climbed up Kinabalu twice. One I was 50, one I was 57. I'm at bad knees. I've torn both my ACL. Uncomfortable, but I did it.
Wow.
You see? So these are the things that I think people need to understand. To be successful in life, you have to be relentlessly uncomfortable.
We've got to break down the basics here because we started talking about fitness and we've gone into the uncomfortable realm of being uncomfortable for success. But on that basic note of fitness, it gets harder as you are aging. There is a certain limit, people say, to how much you can push, but you're defying all those limits.
Yeah, but who says this? People say, they say. But I always ask them, who is they? Who is they? Who is they? Who are they? You tell me, orang cakap tak boleh makan nasi. I said, who? Orang cakap tak boleh. But my cousin brother is Datuk Mike.
Datuk Mike.
Yeah, is my cousin brother. So I come from a family of already athletes, Kumarasan is my cousin brother, also is Mr. Malaysia. So I come from a family of just pure discipline, So getting back to fitness has taught me that you take in what you put in. You take out what you put in. If you are not going to be disciplined, you're not going to see the outcome. Fitness is something you can't lie. You can't buy. I can't buy this biceps. I can't buy, a good body. I have to work for it, I mean, you can go for plastic surgery or that lah, but how much Synthol can you put in your biceps? Synthol. Yeah, so that's why I'm saying this has given me the opportunity to actually grow my discipline. I am very disciplined. I'm lazy, but I'm disciplined. My discipline overcomes my laziness. Kalau bagi I, you give me a chance to relax, I'll relax. But just because of my discipline, I continue to push myself in a level that I want to challenge myself. Yeah.
Dari segi kepimpinan, itu satu topik yang akan kita bincangkan kemudian. Apakah nasihat awal yang boleh Datuk Jake berikan kepada golongan muda yang mungkin menonton siaran ini? Kerana kepimpinan itu sesuatu yang mungkin terbit daripada diri kita sendiri, tapi mungkin juga sebab kita dipengaruhi oleh persekitaran.
Okay. The best advice I can give you is look at people around you. And this is my book. My book is Book of Jake. You can pick it up at free plug, www.bookofjake.my.
He said free plug.
Yeah. So look around you. Look at your circle. You are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. Just look at your circle. If your circle is lepak lah kita tak apa, you are going to be like that. I can guarantee you, there's some cameramans and the people here, I can guarantee you this. You will go out with the same people for lunch every day. You will talk about the same thing. You will keep doing the same thing because you know why? 2 things. 1, you're afraid of change. Fear. Fear makes us sense make of where we are now. Let me give you an example, okay? Just because I'm afraid to do this, I will start to create a rationale why it's right. Tak apalah, mungkin jam lah tempat tu, aku tak nak pergi ya. Mungkin hujan lah tempat tu. Tak apalah, mungkin sakit kaki ya. So we start to make excuses in situations like because we are afraid. So to me, when we can mitigate that fear, it's fine. So I am saying the number one I can advice I can give anybody is look at your circle. You will find that your circle dictates who you are in life.
Jadi itu adalah nasihat yang akan kita gunakan untuk mengakhiri segmen pertama ni, dan kita akan kembali untuk membincangkan segmen seterusnya di mana azam baru anda akan cuba kita bantu bagaimana untuk mencapai azam di tahun hadapan. Jangan ke mana-mana, terus setia bersama kami dan juga Datuk Jake Abdullah sebentar lagi. Kembali bersama kami dalam We Hear You. We have a special guest on the show today, Datuk Jake Abdullah, helping you plan your resolutions, talking about leadership, and we're going to be getting into mindset shifts. But before we get there, an interesting phase of your journey was, of course, on the decks. it has changed so much today. People are using laptops instead of turntables, and they're even just carrying things around in pen drives. What do you think of the evolution of the industry that you started in?
Yeah, so I mean, I was one of the first DJs to use the Technics 1200 in Malaysia. I brought it back from New York, in 1989, I think, with the late Joe Siva. But if you ask me, evolution is beautiful and it keeps getting better and better. Those days when I had to travel, I had to carry record boxes and, lug it around. These days I got the thumb drive, I plug in. Of course, I'm still playing CDJs and all that. But technology is brilliant. So a lot of people will complain, they'll push back because they are afraid, fear. I welcome it. Like this whole AI phase, I welcome it. I'm so excited about things that can do things for me because naturally I'm a lazy person. So it makes it easier for me. Alhamdulillah.
So the evolution also carries with it a lot of opportunities for young people out there who are now turning into the music industry. They're making careers out of it, and the longevity has increased exponentially because no longer you need a lot of physical investment. You're now able to just capture the same feel and the same learning capabilities with technology. You spin every once in a while. What's it like? Are crowds the same? Is
No,
anything
it's different. I'm a very, my needs are different these days. If you pay me to go out and spin, that means I have to entertain the crowd. So I don't complain. So people, they just, lah, orang nak dengar lagu. Macam ni, saya heavy. I don't go into that trip. To me, if I'm paid to do a job, I'll do a job. I do enjoy it. I wish I could do it more often, but maximum I'll do is 2 gigs a year. And that's it, yeah.
You're amazing. You've come from that industry, transition into radio, and then gone on to do so many other amazing things. The mindset shift, that's sometimes a stumbling block for a lot of people because they can't see themselves in roles that perhaps they were meant to go into.
It's fear. You don't blame people for that. It's fear. See, a lot of people fear of see our whole and I'm going to be very controversial here. Our education system doesn't allow us to become entrepreneurs. They are training us to work for people. So naturally we'll become a 9-to-5 person. I realized that, and I said, you know what? I was working for the corporate line for a long time. From nowhere to CEO, and I pulled out. Now I have my own company. I work at my own leisure and I do things for myself. But we are not trained for that because we are so risk averse. Macam mana nak bayar gaji? Macam mana nak bayar sewa? Macam mana nak bayar kereta? Macam mana? So we start to think in that way. That means there's a lot of fear. So because of fear, we tend to not capitalize on probably growth. Yeah. So we don't have a growth mindset. Yeah.
How do you inculcate that on a personal level first and foremost? How do you inculcate that growth mindset? Is it books you read? Is it a podcast you listen to? What is it?
Yeah, you can take all this information, but I believe in the power of one. The world changes by actually us doing one good thing, one thing to improve. Somebody told me, oh, how can I do all this? I said, you can't. You have to start with one. I started with one. I started with one bit of information. I turned it into a podcast. I turned it to this. And I keep doing it. I started with one. One good workout, one good meal, one. People don't understand the power of one. So you can't, and be patient. Most people will suffer because they are impatient. I'm a very patient person. I'm 60 years old. I believe I will live to be 110. Of course, Mahathir can live to 140, inshallah. But yeah, so it doesn't matter. It's the quality of the life that I'm talking about. So how do you do it? Well, start with one good thing. Assuming if you decide to have, somebody told me, macam mana nak kurangkan badan? I cakap, don't have breakfast lah, which is intermittent fasting. Don't have breakfast, skip your breakfast. Tapi diorang cakap, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I said the propaganda of that was done by cereal companies. So, cubalah. As a Muslim, for me fasting is nothing. In fact, during Ramadan, I work out during my Ramadan at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
You inspired me.
Yeah, and I work out the morning before I start my fasting. So, and because we are trained to actually fast. So I told the guys, just don't have breakfast lah, one day. Then you try 2 days, 3 days, then try 5 days, then try 6 days. That person was 100 kilos, he's 77 kilos now. Just by one meal. The thing is, we want to do it now. aku nak kurang badan 10 kilo dalam 10 hari. Cakap, ya Allah, boleh ke? Aku pun nak belajar. You know? So the thing is, we are impatient. I guess we are impatient because of one thing. The stigma of social media has made us, I can go on about this, has made us all compare ourselves with other people. And I would refrain from doing it. You be the best version of you. My ambition is not to be, although I like to host a show like you, Werner, Terence, but it is to me to become the best version of me, not anybody else. So my advice is, look, ask yourself what realistically can you do, then do 10% more. Yeah.
Well, when we talk about that mindset shift that's required, I want to go into this a little bit more because it involves a lot of different aspects. You're constantly bombarded today with a lot of information through social media again. How do you sift through what's right for you? Because you might take in 10 items on a daily basis, and that's if you're consuming everything positive from social media. You might take in 10 good things. How do you sift through and figure out what is the one thing that you can do that you can effect change with in your life?
Okay, so this is called an algorithm, right? There's algorithms in all social media, but there's also a personal algorithm. So naturally, I gravitate to things that are positive to me. So, and I tell people this. I lecture, I teach, I coach CEOs. Also, the same thing. I says you cannot. You see, when you compare yourself to somebody else, you will fail. So I ask them, where do you see yourself in a year? Oh, I want to do this. Okay, now walk me backwards. Walk me backwards on how you can do it. And usually they find the way. But again, like I said, the road is never straight. Even I have fumbled so many times. I failed so many times. And these are all fast failing. I fail, I pick myself up, I move on. I tell people, I said, you see, the generation these days, they do not have the ability to weather this. You have to be brutal, You have to be brutal. Oh, ya Allah, kesian ni. I don't feel sorry for myself. Things happen, I pick myself up. You know why? The reality is nobody cares. Nobody cares. Everybody is sitting down with popcorn waiting for the other person to fail. Our whole culture is all about watching somebody else fail. Oh, Rosita Cik Wan tak layak. Kena sita rumah. Oh, this one happened. Oh, and they're eating. They're all worried about other people. But I am very concerned about me and my positive impact to everybody. Alhamdulillah, if one person can hear me and improve their life. I was coming down from a plane. I was taking a plane Batik Air in Subang, and I was walking down the plane. 3 people tapped me and says, Jake, I like your podcast lah. I like your reels lah. I like this lah. Thank you so much. To me, that impact of that is so big for me. This to me is amal. What you're doing here is amal. So it is not about changing the world. It's changing by one person. So if you ask me, what is the mindset shift? The mindset shift with being realistic. What is the one thing that I can do to change life? Let me give you some statistics. 93% of resolutions will fail. 43% of resolutions will fail within the first month. Probably 7% will succeed. Why? Because we set such lofty ambitions. We set lofty, I nak berhenti hisap rokok hari ni. I akan hisap the whole pack. Pukul 12, I can berhenti. I takkan makan nasi. To me, it's no. I do everything moderately. Of course, I don't smoke and drink, but I do everything moderately. I go to a nasi kandar shop, I'll do a thing. Why do you want to kill yourself, But take care of your body first. Because once your body goes, it's all over. So I have a lot of respect for people who take care of the body. And our generation, this new generation, you realize the obesity rates are high, the sickness is high, everybody's got, I had a friend in Penang who passed away, had a heart attack while he was driving, was 37 years old, my ex-staff. So it is rampant. So I guess if you ask me what keeps me going, one, I want to give back more. If I have to give back more, I have to be healthy. Kan? My religion also teaches me to take care of my body first. Okay, then Number two, I have to keep my mind waras. I have to keep it very healthy. So I read. So the information I take into my mind is good. Kalau I baca social, I pun akan jadi gila lah. You know. So what you consume here is important also. And then don't be so hard on yourself. Because the reason I say this is we compare ourselves with others.
Social media makes it too easy. Too easy to do that. You can compare yourself to your neighbor across the street. You follow him or her on social media. But that one thing, I want to talk about the one thing that you said, I think this was like years ago you said this. You work out during the fasting month.
Yes.
And that really inspired me to attempt to do the same thing. At that time I was attempting. By now, it is already a culture for me. So I look forward to my Ramadan the same way you do, because you make your workouts extra disciplined because you wake up earlier. In my case, I prefer doing it after, and that is a preference, but I still maintain the workout during the fasting period. So that is your one thing to me, and I'm really grateful for that because I look forward to Ramadan because of that.
I see people building roads during Ramadan. I was setting up some stations in Jakarta, and I was in Bangladesh, and the guys were working and they were fasting. So why does it make us more different than others? Tapi the problem with Malaysia is generally, and I hate to say this, I might get into a lot of trouble, we have changed because of social conformity and social stigma. Masa I budak-budak kan, raya 2 hari je. Sekarang dah 30 hari. You know, open house becomes a ritual. Buka puasa at hotels become ritual. So when I was CEO of Astro, didn't even attend one of this, didn't even do it. You know why? Because I feel that is not the essence of it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so we are social conforming. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It doesn't suit me, you know, because orang bulan puasa sebenarnya kena kurang badan. Tapi saya tengok kawan-kawan saya semua gemuk. Sebab dia pergi makan, lepas tu dia pergi buffet, lepas tu dia terawih, dia balik lagi, dia makan. Kenapa I puasa I tak boleh kurang badan? That's the whole purpose of it. So I cannot control others. So I do this to show them that it can be done. So I work out at pukul 4:30 and I lift the same weights. I run before I break my fast. Same weights, you know what I mean? So Maghrib, I press, I have a little bit. I pray first, come a little bit, and then Tarawih, come back, I work out again. So I want to give my best, you know. Can you imagine somebody up there is looking at you and says, wow, Jake ni terror. That's my, sorry to speak in the context of religion, but I'm not impeding on anybody, but this is me. I want to be known as the person, if I die tomorrow, they say, you know what, he did everything. That's what I want. Not that, nothing else but that.
So you did say 93% of resolutions ultimately fail. But we're trying to get people to chart a new course for their life in a positive direction for 2025. So if you're not going to make resolutions, what are you going to do?
Okay, so be realistic. I'm not saying don't make resolutions. I'm saying be realistic with your resolutions. Power of one. Tell yourself, I will have one good meal a day. Tell yourself, I will walk an extra 1,000 steps a day. Tell yourself, and add on to that, it's stackable resolutions rather than grand resolutions. So I believe in stacking. You know, I mean, my whole life is about stacking. You know, I've stacked my education, stacked my this, stacked my that. You know, a lot of people don't know this. I actually learn and teach Silat for the last 30 years. You know, because I don't show, but it's stackable. I learn and I teach. You know, so it's all about stacking. So my resolution next year is to go in study under Cecep Rahman. Cecep Rahman was in Keanu Reeves in The Matrix. Cecep said to come to his place in Garut in Jakarta.
Wow.
I studied from Mon Moni, from one of the top Silat exponents in the world. And why? Because it's interesting for me, you know. It's interesting. I want to do things that I have never done before. So stack it, you know. If you say, I want to stop smoking. If you're smoking 20 cigarettes, do 10 lah. You know?
So the resolutions that you can achieve, the resolutions that make sense and are within reason are the ones that you should aim for, the low-hanging fruits.
Yeah, and don't be so hard on yourself. Yes, I know you cannot undo 30 years of bad habits in one midnight strike, 12 hours, stop everything. Cannot lah. Susah, memang susah. Sebab, listen, that's why 93% of people fail.
So we're going to look at how people generally plan their resolutions around body composition, perhaps around habits, and of course around success. And we're going to compare what you do for your year end. Do you have the similar kind of calendar that you set your targets for? Or what is it, a work backwards kind of policy that you
So
approach?
I'm probably more at a more advanced level than this, but just to reiterate the fact that, look, if you're improving any part or any aspect of your life, you're ahead already. So that's why I tell people, why don't you just do one good thing and celebrate that win? Most people are very hard on themselves, Oh, I want to do this. It's so difficult. So I celebrate small wins, I celebrate small wins, and eventually it'll stack up, The reason I was able to study so much is because I did it one by one. I told myself, I need to get my MBA, I need to get my PhD, I need to get another MBA, I need to get my degree, I need to get this, I need to study, I need to get this. So it's stackable. I didn't do it all at one time, So, and I chose, like right now, I'm coaching C-level CEOs, I'm coaching banks, and this happened because I learned and I was passionate about it. So if you talk about resolutions, be realistic about what you can achieve.
Pressure.
They fail because you're unrealistic.
What about pressure? Pressure not from within, but from without, from your family, from your friends, from the people that matter to you. Tekanan ni dia berbeza apabila kita yang zahirkan dan juga berbeza apabila ia datang daripada mereka yang kita ingin cuba bantu ataupun mereka yang kita sayang. How do you deal with the expectations of the people around you, or do you not allow that to concern you at all?
Do you want the truth?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So, if I love my mother to death. My father has passed away. I love my mother to death. But if I had listened to my parents, I wouldn't be here. Because they wanted me to become an engineer or something like that. And I just did. Yeah. So sometimes you have to say no. No is no, but be polite about it. Don't have to be, aggressive or what. So I can listen and not even respond. It's like a lot of people give me a lot of information, but I'm not respond because I know what's good for Jake. Have a mentor. That's another thing that I want to impress on. Try to find somebody who's a mentor. My late master was my mentor, and I still live by his words. Is to keep improving. So have a mentor. If without a mentor, it's like I remember masa I budak-budak I main bola. I duduk kat Sentul, KTM quarters, and we got at 4 o'clock, and then bang, we come back. Siapa menang main bola? Tak tahu. Sebab kita tak ada, we don't track. So there's no tracking mechanism. So I always tell people, have a mentor, track what you do. And that will get you ahead.
And in turning down certain things, because when they're parents, it's a bit different. When it's a spouse giving you that pressure,
Yeah lah. You can never win with your wife. She knows everything, but be tactical about it. You know what I mean? So when they see good change, and you have to be sometimes very selfish. Like I'm very selfish about my workouts. Very selfish. If I go for a holiday, the hotel must have a world-class gym. If it's a world-class gym, I don't want to go. Second thing I'm selfish
I'm
about.
glad I have you on camera saying that because I'm going to use that.
Second thing I'm selfish about is Liverpool. I won't go attend weddings. He's like, Liverpool, he got up. I won't attend weddings. I won't attend anything if there's a Liverpool game because I studied in the University of Liverpool. I'm a hardcore Liverpool fan. I go for all the games, most of the games. So that's something that's non-negotiable. So my wife knows this. I said, give me 2. One Liverpool, one my workouts. Other than that, you win. I ikut pergi Kenduri. Liverpool main tak? Tak. Okay, I'm calling you, So I guess you have to pick your battles. Yeah.
Okay, that's good advice for all the future husbands out there. Make sure you have this discussion with your future wife before you formalize everything. So we're going to take another break. Kita akan berehat seketika dan sekembali nanti penghujung perbincangan ini kita akan cuba bawakan intipati perjuangan seterusnya. The next chapter in the book of Jake. Don't go anywhere. Kembali bersama kami dalam We Hear You. This conversation has felt like I'm speaking to a Denzel Idris hybrid.
Jake.
But it's Jake. And he's also the author of the Book of Jake. So I want to find out what the next chapter is for you. What is next on your agenda?
There's so much I want to do. There's actually really so much I want to do, and inshallah, Allah gives me the space, the time to actually achieve. I'm doing another PhD with University Utara. I want to study. I want to motivate as many people as possible, because you can't take it with you. Ananda Krishnan passed away, and he was my ex-boss, and with all that money, he still passed away. But there's a lot of goodwill. So I guess what I want to do is to inspire more people to find themselves. We are lost. We are trying to be everybody else but us. When people tell me, "Oh, you look like Denzel," I say, "I don't want to look like Denzel. I want to look like Jake." "Oh, you look like this." I don't want. I lebih suka. Sebenarnya nama saya Yaakob tau. Just for y'all, if y'all don't know, my name is actually Yaakob, which is Jake. So anyway, so what's next for me? Be in better shape 2025, probably climb another mountain, write another book. I'm actually writing another book. It's called Be Uncomfortable. Improve my business, help more people, improve my martial arts, and banyak amal lah. That to me is to do more good.
It is a lifelong of improvement for you.
It has
And
to
that's
be.
how you're looking at it.
Yeah, because again, like I said, sorry to sound a bit religious, but this is just a transition. This is just a passing. We're all going to die, and then I have to meet my maker, and he says, "Hey, Jake, I planned so much for you. What you didn't do?" I nak jawab apa. Again, like I reiterate it. In fact, this is something that I learned from David Goggins in his book. He said that, what if I meet my maker and he said that you didn't achieve what I've written for you? We cannot keep saying, inshallah. God has willed it already. Are you willing to go for it? So that's my take on life. Again, it can sound like I'm preaching, but this is me. This is really me. I don't expect anybody to be me. I expect them to be them. But if I had inspired you, like, in fact, you inspire me. You're still in good shape. I still see you're doing a lot of, good stuff. I think the last time I met you was at the HRD Corp event. Also.
Right,
Yes.
absolutely.
So you're doing a lot of good stuff. And associate yourself with people who are better than you. That's my advice. If you find people who are much further down than you, what are you going to gain actually? Selfish it may seem. I always look out for people who can inspire me, who can impress me. It doesn't have to be, intelligent in the traditional way. They can be smarter than me. One of the best persons I know is a Syrian guy who's my carpenter. He's probably the most honest person I met. And I've learned that and I asked him, why are you so honest? He says, Allah is watching. I says, Ya Allah, touch my heart. So be the best person you can be and let God do God's work.
This conversation has been very inspirational for me. I hope it has been for you as well. Don't forget to follow Jake on all the good social media platforms and pick up a copy of the Book of Jake. On that note, terima kasih kepada Datuk Jake kerana sudi bersama kami.
Terence. Thank you, SME Bank, for giving me this opportunity. And a big shout out to anybody who has been watching this your podcast also. And if you have any questions, you can drop me a DM on my socials. I will definitely reply. Okay, thank you.
Thank you once again, Datuk Jake. Dan terima kasih kepada anda yang sudi bersama kami sepanjang siaran ini. Jangan ke mana-mana. Kita akan terus bawakan segmen-segmen yang berikutnya yang juga akan membawakan tokoh-tokoh perniagaan, ilmuwan dan sebagainya khas untuk anda menerusi We Hear You. Dan terima kasih kerana sokongan anda selama ini dalam kita bersiaran bersama anda. Kita jumpa lagi dalam episod akan datang. Assalamualaikum.